We are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicenda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP. We're a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope, our dream is that amazing designers could find great players who love their games, and that great players could find amazing designers whose games they can love. In order to do that, we do actual plays, reviews, previews, other things like that. We also sit down and talk with creators from time to time. Today, we are sitting down to play Nova, which is an upcoming game coming out June 12th? 8th. On Kickstarter. I'm going to let Spencer tell you all about the game in just 1 second, but you can find us at Plus One EXP. You can go to plus1exp.com to find our games and everything else that we do there. If you're interested in any of that, you can find us all around the internet. We're easy to find. If you want to find me, I'm Tony Vicenda everywhere on the internet also too. But that said, let's meet some of our other players, then hear about the game we're going to be playing today. Evening to everybody in the chat, Bifford, Icor Hart, we got Dice Ghost coming in, Roland, as well as some of our team members who are on the stream today. Let's meet some of them. So let's go first. Long time in the chats, first time on the stream. We've got Ty joining us. Ty, tell people who you are, what you do, and if you want to be found online, where people can find you.
Hello, I'm Ty. I go by he, him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at Eldritch Mouse, where I make games. Also have eldritchmouse.itch.io. And if you really want to speak with me, the best place to do it is in the Gila RPG's Discord.
There you go. I don't know why Spencer's so embarrassed by that, but we'll find out later. Let's meet our other first time on stream guest, and that is Jimmy. Jimmy, same thing. Tell people who you are, what you do, and if you want to be found online, where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm actually Peter, but I'm known everywhere as Jimmy. Usually Jimmy Shelter online, Jimmy Shelter on Twitter, Jimmy Shelter on Itch. Currently, I only have some game jam entries there, but working on my first solo journaling RPG. Hopefully, will be itch funded somewhere in June, I think. But I first have to actually finish the first part. But happy to be finally on stream and able to play.
We're super excited to have you. Do you want us to call you Peter, or do you want us to call you Jimmy? Because we will do either
Jimmy
one.
is, I think there's some people that actually in real life that actually don't know my birth name, so I respond to Jimmy.
We just keep it rolling. Awesome. And then not fan of the stream, everyone's favorite. We've got Kegan Executable joining us again. Kegan, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online.
Yeah, I'm Kegan. You can find me online at KeganExe or on my website, keganexe.com, which has links to everything else.
Cool. And then last but not least, we've got Spencer Campbell. Spencer, tell people who you are, what you do. Also, tell us about the game we're going to be playing.
Hello, I'm Spencer Campbell. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a game designer and psychologist. Psychologist by day, game designer by night. I designed Nova, which is the game that we're going to be playing today, which is based off of the Lumen system, which is another thing that I released somewhat recently that actually some fine folks here today are working on Lumen games, which I'm really excited about. So Nova's the next one. We're going to be playing that today. It's basically the premise is the sun exploded, huge bummer, and wiped out most of the life on planet Earth. What happened essentially is these large shards of sunlight came crashing into the Earth. Bad stuff, but what we learned is that we could kind of huddle around those shards of sunlight for warmth, light, and started to harness them for incredible energy. And that energy allowed us to build these exosuits called sparks, and that's what we're going to be playing as today, these sparks that are going to go out into the dangers of old Earth and explore those ruins in trying to help rebuild humanity.
Awesome. And there's a link right down below all of our faces. It'll take you right to that. I'm also going to drop it in the chat in just 1 second. It's also going to be in the video description if you're watching this later. So any of those places are a good way to find out more about Nova, follow the project, or if you're watching this during, to go check it out and hopefully back it. So I am going to go ahead and drop that in. We use a couple of safety tools here on the channel. Always, if the system determines a different one, we use a different one, but our default is lines, veils, and the X card. We also have an open door policy, which I don't normally talk about. Maybe I should, so I'll do that this time. Lines are things that may happen in the world of our game, but don't happen in the course of our game. So if they do happen, they happen somewhere far away, and our game doesn't focus on or talk about them. Veils are things that may happen in the course of our game, but that we want to handle in a specific way or not dwell extensively upon. And then the X card is the ability for any of us at any time to just pause and say X. If there's not clarity around what the issue is, we would just say, here is the issue. No explanation is required. We'll pick a different way to move forward, and we'll avoid that issue in the future. And so that could be for confusion, for a specific issue thing we have a problem with and don't want our game to focus on. Any of those kind of things. We have a strong line against sexual violence here on the channel, though I don't anticipate that being a problem in this game. Are there any other lines or veils that anyone wants to add? Excellent. So with that said, we are going to hop right in. Just remember, we have the X card. Also, the open door policy means that everyone here is an adult. We also all have real lives. And so if there is something important happening in the world around you and you need to get up for a second, drop us a message in the chat if you can. But if it's an emergency, don't do that. Just go take care of it and then come back when and if you are able, and we'll just carry on with play if that happens. Also, everyone in the chat wants everyone else to know gum gum, which I know what that means. No one else needs to know what that means. I mean, a lot of us know what that means on stream, but gum gum. With that said, I am gonna hand things back over to Spencer and we'll start playing.
All right, so to sort of, I'll set the scene here in a second, but just for folks who are following along at home, we're going to be using a sort of abbreviated quick start version of the rules for Nova. So this isn't going to necessarily, today isn't going to necessarily highlight all of the features that we would normally find in the game, but instead highlight the cool stuff, which is mostly fighting as badass mech suits. If the stuff that looks cool and sounds cool today, I actually just an hour ago released the quick start to the public on itch. So if you're watching this and you're like, I got to check this out, you can go grab that, or you can watch it and read at the same time. But just wanted to set the stage here so that we knew sort of the scale that we were working at today. So we find ourselves with an opening shot. It's sort of a dark, purplish, hazy night sky. And we pan down to see a desolate wasteland. It's largely sort of wind-swept, jagged rocks breaking out through the ground, and plant life that we today would see as wholly alien to planet Earth from what we're used to. In the background, we see this glowing beacon that sort of lights up the backsplash of our scene here. And we see these huge shards of trapped sunlight that are reaching out into the sky with a ramshackle city surrounding it. Our players are the Sparks, these highly technologically advanced exosuits that have been sent out by that city. They've been given a task. Scouts from the city have recently found a factory, an old Earth factory nearby. And the scouts weren't able to ascertain the purpose of this factory, but they know valuable parts when they see them. And so they've sort of put together a squad of Sparks to go investigate. You're going to investigate and secure the site, eliminating any threats so that a salvage team from the city can go be sent in. We're going to start by seeing our Voyager Spark. And they're going to be taking point here, looking out kind of across the expanse from the elevated position. So who has decided to play as the Voyager Spark today?
I think that was me, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Voyager, would you mind introducing yourself to the scene here? What maybe a little bit about what maybe your Spark looks like? What, you know, if you're a scouting, reconnaissance Spark, maybe some features that show off that sort of purpose. And what is your call sign? What does your squad call you?
My call sign is Pluto, and I'm also most of my the exosuit is like yellow marks on it, and something that looks like dog ears at the top, and a bit of a snout at the.
I love it.
Yeah, and I'm move also a bit like how a dog, like a over anxious dog would check out a scene.
So Pluto, you recognize this terrain, this particular area around the city. What is something unusual or spectacular about it?
Okay, good question. Yeah, it's. I haven't been here before, and it looks. I see that it's way different. There's the factory we're looking at is still kind of the same, but all buildings surrounding it have been almost completely been destroyed to rubble.
So since the last time you were here, there seems to have been some activity in the area, and that stuff has been largely destroyed. All right, cool. Excellent. So the Voyager Scout, Pluto, is kind of scouting out the area, getting a sense of what's going on here. And we go and see the rest of the squad. They're all sort of waiting for Pluto's signal on, get the report, see what's going on here. So let's meet the rest of our Sparks as well. Who is playing the Pyre?
That's me. So the Pyre, I'm gonna cheat a bit and say that if you've seen the art, you know what I look like. Except maybe the sword is even bigger. I don't know. Maybe it's as big as me. Like I imagine Sparks are like 7 or 8 feet tall. So a sword that big as well. And so I'm playing the Pyre. My name is Big Fire.
All right, Big Fire. So you've got an especially large hot sword here with you today for this mission. You've heard of raiders that have sort of been hiding out in these parts. Maybe you've probably dealt with them in the past. What is fighting those raiders like? Like, what are the tactics or the things that you remember about them that makes them different than other enemies that you deal with?
I think the issue that I've had before is that they have tactics, anti-Spark tactics, where they team up on Sparks to like try to pull them apart using whatever tools they've sort of put together.
Cool, excellent. So we kind of see this huge looming sword wielding Spark, and we pan over to the Scorch. Scorch, who is going to be playing Scorch tonight?
I'm playing the Scorch tonight. I'm Ring 0, and so you're halfway there already. You got it. So I'm Ring 0. So I am the Scorch suit. It looks a little bit. It doesn't necessarily look fragile, but there are these kind of like bulbous like outcroppings on my Scorch suit. However, the other ones look. There will be official art later. It'll be beautiful. But there is a kind of a little bit more of a sense of some of these other suits are really hulking and massive. This one looks more like it is equipped to drop down large amounts of fire on those around it, because that is what it is designed to do. And there is smoke coming out of like the breathing apparatus near my mouth, because however my character has managed to do it, they are smoking a cigarette inside here. And it's like they are constantly getting in trouble for this, but it happens every single time.
Yeah, it's a whole to do. Like they got to clean out like a whole bunch of valves and tubes, especially because of all the smoke and tar buildup. But you get the job done, so people don't give Ring 0 too much trouble. So Ring 0, you've read the reports that the scouts have brought back about this factory. While the scouts couldn't figure out what this factory can do, you think you sussed it out. What do you think that this factory can do for the city if you were to salvage the parts or its purpose?
Yeah. So right now the process for capturing energy from the shards is pretty unrefined. Like we are able to do it, but there's a lot of times where like it'll overload equipment because it happens too fast, or it's a really long, laborious process if we take it too slow. So there's some specialized equipment in here that we think we can retrofit to be able to improve the energy extraction for the nearest shard.
Awesome. Very cool. And that leaves last, but certainly not least, our Warden Spark. So, Kegan, would you mind introducing the Warden to us?
Yeah, of course. I'm playing the Warden. Yeah, I unlike everybody else, I've really pushed back at using like a fake name here. I've just been using my birth name. So I'm Donovan Giovanni, but my friends call me Don G. And yeah, I'm like this big, massive, like just tons of trash, sort of spot welded together. Makes up sort of like the casing of my Exo, my Spark.
Mm-hmm. You know, it did honestly take me a second. I was like, oh, okay, that's a neat idea. Oh. Well done. So we see Don G filling up the screen here. I have a question for you as well. You're about to be attacked. How do you know that? And what are you going to do about it?
How do I know that? Oh no. I think we've been sitting here chatting. And I think I just happen to be facing the facility, and I can see some people sort of sneaking our direction. And to that end, I think I'm gonna wait till they're a little closer, and I'm gonna slam down my bulwark.
Okay. So we're gonna hop right into this because Nova it's primarily a combat game. It's about fighting as cool mechs, and so we're gonna jump right into a fight. Yeah. So Don G has sort of sensed a small sort of scouting party has broken out from the factory and is making its way rapidly towards your position. They are moving towards the three of you that are sort of huddled together. They don't seem to know about Voyager or are not moving towards, Pluto, the Voyager Spark right now. So from what you can see, it's a small group. There's about 5 of these raiders, and they're just making a beeline towards you. They seem to, at least as far as you can tell, either have no idea what they're running towards or what they're about to get into, but they are it's a beeline towards you. So, Donji, I did say that you got to sort of be the first to act. So, we'll officially begin combat. And as sort of a refresher for anybody who's watching at home, how combat works is all the sparks are going to take a turn. They can move and do an action. Usually that action is using up one of the powers. Powers don't require rolls or anything like that. It's just spending a resource. And then once all the players have gone, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff with the bad guys. And then we'll just keep doing that until essentially the sparks have almost certainly wiped out every goon that I throw at them. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into that then. So Donji, you see this group of 5 raiders running towards you. What do you want to do? Right now they would be at a sort of far range from you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and use bulwark. So I'm gonna slam down a big old shield and sort of try to cover everybody with it.
Nice. What does that look like? Is it like an actual like metal shield? Is it?
I think I have like a metal shield on me, and I sort of slam it into the ground. It shoots like energy out of the side of it.
Nice. So yeah, you slam it down. We see this energy shield sort of surround the 3 of you as a sort of crackling energy shield hits in front of you. The raiders are going seem to kind of continuously be moving in your direction. So who would like to take the next turn?
I mean, I'll go next. So they're coming towards us. I'm going to go ahead and just lay out on, let's just say the one in the middle.
Okay.
The one in the middle east of them. I'm going to lay out erupt, which is going to cause a column of flame to burst up from the ground. I guess, actually, how far away are they?
They're far right now.
Oh, never mind. Then I'm not going to do that yet because that wouldn't make any sense because I can't. And so I will wait until they're a little bit closer then, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So you can kind of just chill. They're all clumped together. You see that this is going to be a golden opportunity for you.
I blow a smoke ring up into the air. It's a big one.
You extinguish your cigarette, pull your helmet back on.
Yeah, go ahead, Big Fire.
Yeah, so Big Fire is going to lift his hot sword and it ignites in like this huge like thing of fire, and I am going to peel off this spear from the sword. Don't ask, the science doesn't make sense. And then just throw it at the one in the middle. So dealing 1 harm to them at far range.
Nice. So yeah, you peel off this spear and you hurl it, and it goes coursing through the air, slamming into this this sort of middlemost raider. They stumble a moment, but they keep up. You know, the others kind of like grab onto them, and they keep charging in your direction. But yes, you can see that you've pinged them, and your HUD is sort of lit up. You like there's this sort of blinking signal on the person who's got the spear stuck in them, because your spark does something with that when you have the opportunity. Pluto, you see this group still running forward right now. They haven't quite reached near distance. They're still at a far distance. Is there anything that you'd like to do?
At least mark 2 of them. I think the front 2 makes most sense.
Okay.
Let's see. Are they close enough to fire, do the destroy move?
Yeah, there's no range on destroy. You can hit anybody from any range as long as you have marked them. So what does that marking process look like? Because that's what Voyager is all about, is they paint targets for the rest of the sparks to light up. So what does it look like when you mark somebody?
Yeah, it's like I have different lights on my suit, and they just paint like a laser tag on them. Mine, of course, are in the shape of a bone. Yeah, but yeah, the ones I've marked, I immediately start firing at them.
Yeah, so you fire off these sort of homing missiles or explosives off of your spark that go immediately seeking out these people that have been marked. You slam into them, and these front 2 raiders, they stumble back as well. They start to lag behind. They haven't seemed to have fallen completely, but you've clearly messed them up. And what this causes them to do is they stop. And what you all see is that the middlemost raider, the one that they really wanted to make sure came along, produces from a bag this long metal cylinder, and they slam it into the ground. And then, in defiance of you, Donji, you see a sort of expanding metal shield that they all suddenly have as a cover system that they are kind of bunkering behind here in the middle of the field. Once they realize that they're in danger, they seem to have tried to adopt some sort of spark technology of their own. Not nearly as advanced as yours, but that's what they are doing. The other big thing that you see here, before I throw it back to the sparks here, is that a second party sort of emerges from some of those strange alien trees that we had kind of talked about before. It seems that they had been sort of like hiding out in them, and 3 of these raiders land at a near position behind you. So you are now sandwiched between these raiders, and they produce these like long, they kind of look like baseball bats, but they're crackling with energy of some kind, and they sneer at you as they land, ready to just break some metal kneecaps. But I will throw it back to the sparks. That'll be the end of that round, and you all can go in whatever order you'd like.
How far away are the ones behind the metal shield now?
They are near now.
Okay.
They've closed a distance.
I'm just gonna say the word Jiffy Pop, and I'm gonna then cast Erupt underneath the other side of their metal shield.
So yeah, you just say Jiffy Pop, and we see this column of flame just burst from the ground. The middlemost raider, who was the one that slammed down the thing, is completely incinerated, brought to ash. Though we still see in the ash, like Big Fire, you still see your glowing spear like sitting in the ashy skeleton there. As your point of reference. All of the others also take a great deal of damage. In fact, the 2 that had been pinged by Pluto also burned to death. So there's now only 2 of those raiders left behind, as a group of them have been incinerated because of this Jiffy Pop. Excellent work. Do you want to move at all, Ring Zero, or are you good with your
I
position?
think I say Jiffy Pop. I point this energy erupts out of the ground, and then I turn to face these other folks. But no, I'm not going to move.
Okay. Who would like to go next?
I'll go. So I think on my HUD, there's like a little progress bar and it like dings and it's like fire jump ready. And Big Fire just like vanishes in a blast of flame, appears next to his spear. And I'm going to use my passive slash. So deal 1 harm immediately. And then there's 2 left there, right?
Yeah.
I will, I'll do a singe. So I just like have that huge sword, big sweeping chop, and both of them are going to take 1 harm at the end of the round.
Nice. So you just light these 2 remaining raiders on fire. One of them already looks like they're about to just pass out. Well, not pass out. Pass out permanently. Yeah, die. Die is another word we could use. And yeah, the flames will surely devour them in their final moments here at the end of the round. All right. So Pluto and Don G. Who would like to go next?
I'll go. Yeah. So the one group is basically done for. So I turn around and mark 2 of the other group, the 2 in the front. Get ready to be boned, and then I fire another destroy. Do another destroy at them.
Oh no, that's your catchphrase? Oh no.
It might be. I might switch around.
Very good. Yeah, so you quickly mark 2 of them and fire off more of these missiles, slamming into the raiders. Again, they don't die from this impact, but you can see that they are totally messed up here from the they're getting boned truly at this moment.
I feel a bit of regret.
Well, you're locked in now. There's no takebacks on that. Pluto, do you want to kind of stay where you are? You're sort of at this like elevated vantage point separated from everybody, or do you want to start moving in a particular direction?
No, I think it's good to have like this higher vantage point.
Cool.
So I'll stick around for a bit longer.
All right. So our warden, Don G, you are the last to go here. What would you like to do?
Yeah. How many people were in this new group? I think I missed
3
one.
of them.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna grab the guy who doesn't look injured, and I'm going to crush and throw him.
Yeah. So what does that look like? You close the gap on this guy. What does crushing them look like?
So I think I just have like one big like Lego shaped hand, and I just sort of grab this man and I throw him at another man. So I'm gonna fling him over towards the shield, one of the dudes over there, just to sort of split the group up some.
Oh, so you're just gonna like shot put through.
Oh
this
yeah.
person,
No, we're going far.
Slamming. Yeah. So you pick up this poor electric baseball bat wielding raider. You crush them in your big hand and then hurl them. And I think Big Fire, like your suit kind of like pings. You're like incoming. And like your radar shows this fast moving object moving in your direction.
I send a thumbs up to Don G.
Yeah, there's just this big thumbs up emoji.
I didn't install emoji on my HUD, so it's just a square.
I know that square anywhere.
This body goes flying in your just past you, Big Fire, slamming into another one of them, and there's just kind of this sickening crunch as the raiders crack into each other here. So you've murdered quite a few raiders here. Because at the end of the round, the one that Big Fire had lit on fire also burns to death. And so I'm going to roll the drops to see what is generated for you all. You've got 4 fuel and 1 health. I don't think I've hurt anybody, so...
How much has anybody used more than 1 fuel?
Yeah, I've used 2.
Okay, I will change the health into a fuel.
Nice. So you got 5 fuel to split across the team, however you'd like.
I just need 1.
I'm taking 1.
I think 1 is enough. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll take 2 then.
And what does this look like when you all are siphoning fuel from people? Because this is a fuel system that, like, your suits are primarily charged via the sun, like the sun wells and the sun shards back at the city, but you manage to recycle like life force and some sort of energy source from all sorts of creatures out in the dusk. So what does that look like necessarily? Does
I think
anybody have a sense?
I hold the hot sword into the air straight up, and little lines of like illumination point out to the dead raiders, and just like sucks up their life juice.
Excellent. So you all have your own way, however it is, of siphoning this life force from people. But we get to see at least how Big Fire is doing it this time, as the sword just sucks up the power and life force. Yes, Life Juice Nation in chat, absolutely.
Keep juicing, Juice Nation.
We've got just a handful of raiders left here. The 2 that are still alive here next to Don G come rushing forward, and they slam these like baseball like electric batons into your legs, and they're not harming you. Instead, what they are doing is they are locking you down. And so Warden, suddenly you're like the HUD of your systems is starting to like it's breaking up. It's starting to you sort of like having these panic moments here as parts of your system break down. And what you can see is that the supernova part of your suit is getting prepped to activate. But turning, like, you can see that it's like an emergency version of it, and that's not a good thing. Now, you know that it hasn't fully progressed. It's like a progress bar, but they are trying to like get you to self-combust, essentially, or self-destruct. And so they're just like stabbing you as many times as they can with these electric batons as that is going on. So what do you all want to do? Those are the only raiders left, if I've been tracking this correctly.
I will finish extinguishing my cigarette and then walk back over there, like walk over towards them, and then just engulf myself and them in flames. Like they're like shock. I'm like, and like toss it and walk up behind them and just wreath myself and them in a large amount of fire.
Beautiful. Yeah. So they were already damaged from Pluto's homing missiles earlier. So you're going to burn these final raiders to death. So what does that look Ring Zero as you kind of walk forward? What does it look like as you light up on fire, and what do they look like?
Well, they're going crazy, like stabbing with these electric batons, trying to get that progress bar up. I think they don't even necessarily see me coming, and then all of a sudden, like I think we see a shot, like that we see kind of a shadow hit them from the side, and as one of them thinks, "Wait, what's going on?" That's when we see the wave of fire just come up from behind them, and wrap the 2 of them up, and we see a horrible realization of subtle awareness in their eyes as they burn to death. And then we like flash back to me as that we see almost kind of like the vapor trail of the fumes that ignited, kind of like sucking back in like that, like me turning off the function. So we don't actually even see the worst parts of the flame, and all that's left is 2 fully charred bodies with like, except for their hands still holding those batons, which are untouched. A very precise burn.
Very controlled burn. That's awesome. Yeah, I think Donji, your systems were like not only going off because of the the batons against you, but also like heat rising, heat rising, heat rising. Not that you were in any sort of danger because you're sparks, but it's just like making you aware, and you're like, yes, here comes Scorch.
I'm not even gonna move. I'm just gonna let him do this.
Right. So we wrap up our fight here as you kind of have wiped out the sort of preliminary scouting group. 2 more fuel sort of bubble up from the ashy remains here of these individuals for whoever wants to gobble them up.
I'll suck one of those in.
Nice.
I think I can use could use one.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Cool. So you all have sort of taken out this raider party. They clearly had been anticipating some sort of trouble because they had lined themselves up in the trees and sought out to fight you. I think maybe they didn't realize how many sparks were out here. So the factory is off in the distance. What do you all want to do? What's the sort of game plan, knowing now that the raiders are active in this area and the factory is a short distance away? What's sort of the game plan for you all?
Yeah, I think I will go a bit lower, a bit closer to the rest of the team, while checking if there's any other raiders coming, and yeah, trying to see what the best way of entry is into the factory.
Yeah, so you've scouted out this area before because, like you said, you've been here before, you've seen this area, and now there's sort of a wasteland of buildings in the area. How about you go ahead and make a shade roll for me to see what sort of avenues or advantages that you can find for your path.
Let's see. So that's my shade is 2, so that's 2d6, right?
Correct.
Yep. So 2 and a 2.
Okay. So for the audience at home, when there are dice rolled, it's not through skill lists or anything like that, but instead the 3 approaches that players use, either sun, moon, or shade, basically powerfully, quickly, or patiently and methodically. And we roll these dice pools, D6 dice pools, and take the highest die to determine success. I think basically, Voyager, right now, you probably knew best plans before Pluto, but with because everything is so devastated and different from what you last saw, the typical paths that moving through this particular terrain are not available to you, and you might have to go. You're gonna have to it's pathfinding now. It's finding new routes through this zone because your familiar routes are lost to you.
Yeah, well, I see the entryway we were planning to use is closed off by rubble. So I called to the rest of the team saying the plan changed. We have to find another way in. And yeah, I'll start looking a bit, but I'm hoping also the rest will check out the factory to maybe there's a way a bit closer to the ground.
I say Roger, and then a slot on the sleeve of my suit opens up, and there's a pack of cigarettes in there that I've hidden away. Take one out and start smoking again, and then stick it back.
They give you such trouble back at home for that. They're like, that is not the purpose of that slot. That is for your repair kit. What are you doing? Every single time, but you gotta have your smokes.
I gotta have my smokes.
It's a repair kit still.
Yeah.
Can I start sort of walking around this warehouse and maybe look for a wall and sort of try to find a wall that would maybe open up into a spot that isn't just fully open? And if I can find that, I want to do an Obi-Wan, take the hot sword and just shove it in the wall and sort of let that start to burn a path through.
Yeah, so I mean, your HUD systems are advanced enough that they can kind of do quick scans of materials, of surfaces around you, and so you can find not only sort of weak points in the outer part of this factory. And essentially the whole thing is a weak point because it's built during like old Earth time, and you're new enough tech, especially with your hot sword, they're like, you're going to be able to cut through whatever you need to cut through. But you're specifically looking for a spot that doesn't have a big space on the other side. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, like maybe if it's a warehouse or an office on the other side or something, so that we don't just like.
We don't
Actually,
walk straight
you know
into a
what?
trap.
Maybe, or maybe we just like walk right into the main area and just start wrecking stuff.
Yeah, I think we see you doing this, and I bet the front, like, I could just jump through this wall, like Kool-Aid Man style.
Yeah, your suit is just like, and here's the like the most dramatic way that you could jump in. Like, here's the most like impact.
Yeah,
Here's
I've closed all the
easiest
other
way.
windows.
Yeah.
Maybe I start cutting a hole that's clearly going to be too small for the warden. and your suit is just like not applicable or not good enough.
Yeah, so you do a lot of your communication through highlighting things on a sort of shared HUD system, and so I think Big Fire has found a spot where if they were to cut through at this point, that you'd be in some sort of small room. It's sort of impossible to determine its purpose on the other side because it's long since abandoned, but you at least know that it's a smaller room compared to the larger kind of open space that is primarily where the manufacturing goes on. And so you sort of highlight it and you ping it off to the rest of the group. Warden gives it, well, I guess Warden didn't install the emoji system.
I'll just I guess as a response.
It's just a different
sending-
OS. Like you don't have.
ASCII again, or however you pronounce it. Like these, just
It's all the slashes and everything that eventually make.
just install the emoticons, man.
I'm the Great Value brand, Spark.
I send like a crab claw and just like pincher attack ? Like we both go in separate areas and just close in on them, maybe.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, so you want to sort of find like two locations that you can kind of come from two different angles. So
Yeah, do the same thing they just did to us to them.
totally.
On that
We're
note, I have
learning.
picked up one of those baseball bats that didn't get. Cool.
Yeah, since Ring Zero had a very controlled fire and didn't burn them up, I think you could absolutely. It's so tiny in your giant hands, but you do it's like a pen essentially. It's comical, but you do pick it up and you have one of these sort of small electric batons. So if the squad is gonna sort of split up, who wants to go? I guess of Pluto and Ring Zero, who's gonna stick with Big Fire, the Pyre, the Hot Sword, and who wants to go with the Warden with Don G?
Oh, one of them doesn't require moving. That's me. Like.
So you'll stay here with Big Fire because I think we started with Big Fire's location, so you can stay here with them.
Yeah,
And my character is like watching everyone's back, but is really just taking a smoke break.
Right.
Yeah. I'll stick with Dawn.
Excellent. So we see you sort of moving your way around, and as you're you find your locations. Your HUDs are also kind of constantly pinging you small, like little indicators of like there's motion inside, just so like you're aware that there is clearly something or someone inside. The system normally would be able to give you a pretty accurate count, but for some reason there's an interference going on, and so your HUD is just able to detect that there is motion inside. And an unknown power source of some kind as well. So for whatever reason, your HUD is not able to give you kind of maybe the information that you're used to on these missions. But you have managed to position yourselves on both sides of this factory. What is the plan? Just to come smashing in, or
Kool-Aid Man style.
Is there
Straight
any
through the wall.
better plan?
I mean, that sounds fantastic to me. Just so we can sort of get a sense of how cinematically cool these entrances are, because you absolutely, like I said, will be able to smash through these things. But can I get a sun roll from both Big Fire and from Don G, since you two will be the ones smashing through?
Cool. I got a 5.
I got a 6. Rolled 4 dice.
Excellent. In this game, a 5 or 6 is a complete success, no sort of complications. So let's have each of you individually describe this entry scene, or at least what it looks like as you are smashing your way into this place. And then I'll set the scene for a big old scuffle in this warehouse now. So Big Fire, how about you go first?
Yeah, so I'm cutting like a hole in it, and it's like the little last bit left. Who's with me?
I am.
Right. So I look at Ring 0 and I say things are about to heat up.
I love how Will and all of us started to just take off our helmets and do weird things. Put on sunglasses.
Yeah, put my helmet back on, and then just like push the wall over. It slams down, and I come through in like a wall of fire.
And I'm gonna just be blowing smoke like behind him. Like, this huge smoke wave just like shoots in.
Hell yeah. So this huge smoke wave comes bursting in from one side, and we see this just tremendous glowing hot sword through it. It's kind of like in Rogue One when we see Vader appearing at the very end of the movie. You just see the lightsaber light up, and you're like, oh, it's about to go down. So we see that on one side. Simultaneously, we got two scenes on the screen at the same time. We see the entrance of Donji and Pluto. Donji, you got a complete success as well. So what does this look like as you bust through?
Sort of, flex and getting ready. You can see my I have some little like jets on my back that have started going, and I just like bull rush through that wall. Just push straight through it. You get an oh yeah from me as the wall breaks down.
So yeah, you just go smashing through this this wall. Pluto, what do you do when you've seen Donji kind of get into smash mode like this? What's sort of like the protocol when this happens?
When it's Donji smash time.
Just dive in and go along. So he jumps on all fours because of his animal spirit, and he just runs in the wake of Donji inside.
I did not know that you ran like a dog. That's a really fun character trait.
Of course.
So yeah, we see you just kind of like get down on all four and just like take off right behind in the wake of this destruction. Wow, amazing, truly spectacular. So you all, we're gonna jump right into another fight here. But let me set the stage here just so you have a sense of what you all are getting into. Because again, your HUDs, now that you're inside, we'll get a quick readout of everything going on, but there is still some sort of interference going. You can tell that this factory, again, from like your initial assumptions, you also don't really know its purpose, except for Ring 0, who sort of kind of pieced it together that whatever purpose this factory had, at the very least, the technology here can be useful for your energy siphoning tech back in the city. And that absolutely seems to be what is going on here. I think Ring 0, you would notice this immediately, that there's some sort of restructuring or reuse of the tech here, where all of it is being plugged into a large container in the middle of the room. And what you can see in the container, it's sort of this, it's like a glass container. And inside is this crescent-shaped, gigantic piece of moonstone. So when the sun exploded, it also happened to hit our moon, which messed up our moon real bad. And these large shards of lunar stone have hit the surface as well. And somebody is trying to do this similar process of extracting energy from the moonstone. You're not really sure how the science works out necessarily, but this person, whoever is inside here,
actually, I am. I get it. Like,
oh yeah,
I couldn't explain it. People usually don't get it, but yeah, I got it. It's fine.
in an instant you understand and you're like, ah, classic. And like in your head, you're going through all the explanation.
Right.
While you're kind of like inner monologuing the explanation, we just hear, "Oh yeah," as Don G comes smashing through the other wall. Yeah, so somebody has set up a system to try and pull out energy from these lunar shards. The room is also sort of filled with some of these goons, similar raiders, outfitted in a way similar to what you had seen back in the back outside. From your positioning, since you have sort of attacked from two ends, you each have found a group of 3 of them that at this point are a close distance from you because you have just smashed right into sort of their waiting zone here. There's 3 of them that are just totally caught off guard. There are other raiders in the warehouse, but your HUD is just like, it's starting to go a little staticky the closer you are getting to this shard, and it becomes harder for you to gauge exactly where and who people are. So I will throw it over to you, and then we'll see how this goes. Who would like to be the first spark to act?
I'll go first. I think we see I have like a speaker pop up over our shoulder, and you get a clip of Scorpion yelling, "Get over here!" I'm gonna use over here. So all enemies must attack me until the start of my next round.
Nice. So yeah, you challenge the room to combat, and even though for the 3 across the warehouse from you, there's 2 sparks that have just burst through the wall. They all lock eyes on you, and they're like, "We gotta take that one out." Excellent. So yeah, you echo out your challenge. Do you want to position yourself anywhere in particular in the warehouse, or because you kind of just smashed through the wall?
Nope. I think I'm gonna just be right here on the other side of the wall.
Sweet. Okay. So you all hear Warden's challenge go out to the world. Who would like to go next?
So there's 3 enemies close to me, and then there's another group of 3. Would they be near to me?
They'd be near to you.
All right. I am going to use a move called Finisher, and what it looks like is Big Fire just suddenly zips around, runs around, sword slashing, and then stops, looks down, and then just like 100 cuts light up on these the bad guys, and they're each gonna take 1 harm. Oh no, sorry, the injured enemy. So
yeah, so this is for enemies that have been injured. They haven't been injured, yeah. So
Finisher is good for finishing enemies. That makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah, I will just do a singe then. So all the close ones are going to take 3 as I just make that big chop again, and they burst into flame.
Nice. So you cast out this wave of flame immediately, beginning to incinerate the people before you. And again, even though they're all on fire, they really, really just want to kill Don G. At this moment. Pluto or Ring Zero? Who would like to go next?
Go ahead, Pluto.
Yeah, I mark 2 of the 3 closest to us. And I use the seek action on the closest one. So they take 1 harm from all sources. What does it mean, sources?
Just anybody. So like if you all attack them, or if some sort of environmental reason they would take damage, they'll also take more harm from that. They're made especially vulnerable. What does that look like, Pluto, as you decide like this one in particular needs to die?
Yeah, so he was already marked, and now he just starts to, his whole suit starts to light up. So it hacks his suit, and everybody just sees like he's shining. So yeah, this is your mark.
Right.
You might want to hit it.
Like you're all used to seeing the marked targets normally in your HUDs, but this is just like a giant like flashing pop-up ad that you can't close on your HUD, just like Pluto saying this one, you got to kill this one.
There's one way to close it.
It's murder. So Ring Zero, you are our last spark to go. What would you like to do?
Tell me the fictional positioning of the bad guys right now.
So there's 3 of them that are in front of you at close distance. They're all on fire because of big fire. There's 3 across the way at a near distance that haven't been hurt. One of them is just lit up like a beacon with how marked they are, and everybody is just looking at Don G right now because of the call out.
I gotta get that pop up off of my HUD, so I'm gonna snuff out the one who has the mark right now from Pluto, and so normally a lot of my moves are very fiery. This one, you actually see like what at first seems like that same kind of smoke that usually is coming out of my body. Like I pointed him and it starts to like pull out off of his clothes a little bit, and then it pulls back inwards, like and infuses into his body, and he starts writhing in horrible pain as he takes 3 + 1 damage, 4 damage.
Yeah, he's gonna go. He's gonna definitely pop here. So yeah, that is terrifying, by the way. I love it. So yeah, this raider in particular just truly has a horrible end to their life here as they go kind of writhing and screaming in pain as they get infused with this smoke energy and get snuffed out.
Can I say as that happens that don't you know secondhand smoke will kill you?
God, it's so good. I'd like to think that you had taken your glasses off.
I have a bunch of pairs in my shoulder thing is just sunglasses that
And they're
I-
just
that I
layering
pull
on
out.
top of each other.
Yeah.
God, it's perfect. Excellent. And do you want to move at all, Ring Zero, from where you are, or are you good with where you're at?
I'm good where I'm at.
Okay. Cool. Well, let me make a drop based off of that person. There is a fuel up on the board for anybody who wants it, and then once somebody claims that, I'll tell you what the enemies do in response.
I'll take it since no one else claimed it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nice.
I mean, sure, I made it, but go ahead, take it. That's fine.
I have 4 fuel. It's important I don't run out of.
Yeah, I have more fuel than anyone else, so you're good.
Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, Donji, this is a good opportunity. Donji, what does it look like when you siphon fuel? We've seen what big fire looks like.
Oh no. Huh.
Never mind, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Someone else has it. Yeah. I don't have a good answer to that.
That's fair. That's fair. It's video game logic runs the Lumen system. So through video game logic, you siphon fuel off of this raider, and your HUD sees that you have a little bit more fuel than before.
I mean, is it just in this situation? Is it just a Kool-Aid container?
It's just a Kool-Aid container. Yeah.
Just, oh yeah.
Sweet. So you all sort of had this moment of shock. The 2 that are closest to you, Donji, they don't have those electric batons or anything. They have like old fashioned like slug rifles that they turn on you and they fire into your system or into your chest at point blank range. So you will take 2 harm from the 2 of them firing shots into you here.
Nothing.
The others that are sort of across the warehouse are going to start moving in such a way that they're going to get kind of behind some cover here, but they are also taking aim. But they don't take a shot. Instead, the last thing that happens here is that you all feel a sickening feeling in your stomachs, in your pilot's stomachs, because you are people inside there. And
they always told me smoking would hurt me. I just assumed this is it finally happening.
This is it. It's come for me. You feel this that lurching feeling in your stomach as the ground drops out from below you, and you all are lifted off of the ground and tilted upside down as sort of gravity is shifted off of you, and your sparks are left kind of hanging upside down and slowly moving upwards towards the ceiling. And you hear this like boom, as the lunar shard kind of gives off this pulse of energy as that is happening. That's the enemy's turn. I hand it back over to the sparks.
I would like to start because then I can use my Holo Spark to create a decoy for the enemies to attack. So I light up and still on all fours.
You're a floating dog.
A shadow will jump out of me, or a shadow more like a copy of me, but from light, will jump away and run towards the moon shard. It howls at the moon shard, of course.
Yes, it does.
And then the enemies will attack that.
Nice.
Hopefully.
So you all see this hollow version. It's in your in your HUDs, you all recognize it as sort of a holographic version of Pluto, but to the enemies, it's very realistic, and it's going for the lunar shard, and that's problematic. They're gonna have to deal with that. So Pluto, that's what you do, is you can kind of continue to just drift in space here. You've sent off your hollow spark. Who'd like to go next?
I
I'll
can
go
go next.
Nope, Tony got it.
So I'm floating in the air, ish, right? We're off the ground. There are two guys nearest to, three guys nearest to us, two guys nearest to us.
There's still three near you.
Three near you. I'm going to use engulf to fling myself in a zero gravity manner into the middle of those three people. So I'm going to use engulf essentially as a rocket propelled reality in order to push me into those three guys.
I think that's a perfectly legitimate use of science. Again, we've already established that Ring Zero understands science way more than anybody else. They've mastered this.
I've mastered fake video game science like no one else.
Right. So yeah, you light yourself on fire and hurl yourself at these individuals. Where once they were looking at Don G, their attention has been pulled towards the hollow Pluto, and so they have no idea about this rocketing ball of fire that is the scorch spark slamming into them, and they all cry out in pain as they get lit aflame here. And they had already been on fire from Big Fire's previous slash, and so these fools are just gonna burn to death. They're gonna just get incinerated here.
It happens.
It happens, right? It just happens sometimes. Excellent. Okay, Don G, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'll just go ahead and crush and throw again. I'll grab one of the people near me and throw him at the other person near me.
Yeah, so even though you're being lifted up off the ground, those people were still close to you because they had been attracted to attack you. So they're still within claw distance for sure.
Yeah, I think it's less crush and throw, more crush and slap.
Yeah. It's a little disorienting for you at first as you try and figure out, like, okay, how does my hands work from this upside down direction? But you manage to get it. You crush and slam the individual into the from one raider into another raider. Again, you hear this sort of like sickening crunch. They're not dead, but you can see that they are pretty messed up, the two that have turned against you. And you continue to kind of just do that awkward zero gravity, like tilt in the air thing in space. Big Fire, you're the last to go here.
Is the lunar shard like pulsing? We can see it, right?
You can see it. It's in sort of a glass container, and yes, you can see that it is now starting to glow. It has the glow about it as if it was a full, like when you see a truly bright full moon in the sky in the room. It's lighting up the room.
I am not a smart spark. I do not have the backing of science behind me like Ring Zero. So I am just going to peel a spear off of my sword and throw it at the moon shard. I want to like break the glass and impale the shard so that I can get over there.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, you hurl your spear over there and it goes crashing through the glass and sticks into the lunar shard. There's sort of this like, you see some spider web like crack lines in it from the point of impact, and we hear the smashing of the glass, which if that if the hollow spark didn't have everybody's attention on it, that would, but Hollow Pluto has truly drawn a lot of eyes on it. So as you go smashing into the lunar shard like that, the raiders that are left on the ground, the two that had just sort of been sandwiched into each other by Don G, they roll off of one another. They're badly injured, but their priority is to protect the shard. And they see this hollow spark, and they fire their slug rifles. They go right through the shard. You can hear them grumble, like, "Oh, what the." I don't remember what the swearing policy is here, Tony.
We get one. I mean,
F word.
it's a whatever, but we the fun is we get one F word as a whole group.
I think in classic video game function, they say like the same lines of dialogue again and again and again as you're fighting these goons. So they say this burst of frustration. They fire through the hollow spark, and it seemingly does no damage to them or to the hollow spark. And then those of you who are still in the air, which right now is everybody other than Ring Zero, you feel yourselves smashed back down into the ground. And not only smashed back down, but a weight is holding you down. And you're going to take 2 harm from this smash, not only from the smash, but from the crushing weight. Like you can hear your systems are straining as whatever damage is going on inside of you. Now there is some drops that were generated. I forgot to generate those drops for you all. There's a health and 2 fuel for folks who need it.
Somebody does need health, so
I'll take a fuel.
I'll take a fuel also, if that's all right. Unless someone's getting low on fuel. How are you doing, Pluto?
Yeah, I think fuel-wise, I'm doing fine. I think Scorch is the one with the least health. So
I haven't taken any damage though. So
oh yeah, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm at
Don
2 health,
G
but I'll be
has.
back at full on my turn, so
Okay.
I'm not stressing it.
Well, then I'll change that last one to fuel.
Cool.
I'll take a fuel then.
Sweet. So you all sort of fuel up in this moment here as whatever force from the shard, again, you hear it pulsing as it's you feel this gravitational pull slamming you all into the ground, except for Ring Zero, who hadn't been in the air at the time. So I throw it over to you all. Just as a point of order, big fire at the start of the round. You do get to teleport next to the shard if that's what you want to do.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. Just zap over there in a column of fire.
Nice.
Do I still feel like that extra gravity on me after I do that?
Once you the teleportation thing kind of releases you from whatever hold was on you, and now you don't feel it once you get next to the shard itself.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow up and take my turn as well and do the dash. So deal 2 harm since I didn't activate it before because that was the start of the turn. But so deal 2 harm to the lunar shard, and then as my passive just slash as well, so an extra harm.
Nice. So yeah, you just kind of start cutting into this, and it's brittle rock, so it is kind of easily sliced and diced. And as you do this, you can first of all, everybody who's on the ground feels the release of the gravitational push that had been on you before, and at the same time, all of the wiring that has been hooked up to this is now just sparking, just out of control right now. The whole room it's a factory just filled with sparks. It's a very clear science experiment gone wrong situation. The shard isn't completely dusted from your attacks, but it is substantially cut up into smaller pieces from your attack.
As I'm doing that, I am going to ping Ring Zero and just say, is this safe? As I'm just cutting into this thing without any sort of thought about what I'm doing.
I mean, since I just dumbly established that I know, do you want me to? I'll take my turn. Do you want me to make a shade roll to see if I know whether the hell this is?
Yeah, let's have a shade roll and see what we know about this lunar shard.
I got a 5.
Okay, so why don't you tell me a little bit about this shard?
This is a lunar shard. It's not a sun shard. which means that if you evolve at night after 360 steps, that you get a I can't remember the night Eevee. So what do we know? Is this safe? Is it safe? No. Is there a better option? No. Destroying this is the quickest, most effective way to make this unpower, because otherwise we would have to like shut it down, and that would take a long time to figure out how to do safely. So the question is, do we want to do this safely or do we want to do this quickly? And the answer is quickly.
Okay, there we go. So yes, the you know that interfering with the lunar shard, especially hooked up the way that it is, it's highly unstable. Working, especially when you're working with it violently, but it certainly will expedite the process in which the threat of the lunar shard is taken care of. Ring Zero, is there anything else that you want to do on your turn? You're just sort of assessing the thing. I don't think that's necessarily going to be your action. I'll let you go ahead and do something.
So I mean, I feel like everybody else is killing all the other guys probably pretty well in just a second. Maybe are any of them making a fictional position? Do we see any like, are there any windows into the space? Is there a control panel that I can see?
What you can see beyond the shard is that there is a small sort of control room that kind of overlooks this place, and inside is a glowing source of light, and you see an individual in there in these sort of strange white and gray robes, and they have their hands against the glass and their head is tilted back, and they seem to be chanting.
Oh, well then, what I'm going to do is we are going to at any range, we're going to use kindling, so at a very different I'm going to look through that mirror, and I want to hit them, and then I want to hit near them, like basically where I think there might be control equipment up there. So basically they're going like this against the window, I want to hit them, and I want to hit whatever I think is right in front of them, which may be nothing. That's totally up to the benevolence of the GM, but I want to try to disrupt their focus. So they're going to take 1 harm, and then if there is a control panel, it'll also take 1 harm.
Yeah, so we see this flash of fiery, sort of like a spark of fiery flame that bursts into the control room. This figure launches back from the glass as the flame bursts in front of them. And then, this is video game logic. You shoot the control panel of the computer and things just start to go all over the place. The whole system goes haywire. So yeah, you burst into the control panel here, and the wiring and everything that hooked up to the lunar shard before, if it was sparking before, it's truly going out of control right now. As the system, you hear like a humming and a pulsing from the lunar shard.
How it was dangerous before? I made it worse.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, it's like the pulsing has accelerated. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's a rave now in the warehouse as the lunar shard, in whatever sort of small fragmented form it's in, is still trying to fulfill its function very poorly now. So that's Big Fire and Ring Zero so far. Pluto and Don G, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna go ahead and use over here again, just because I need the health. So I'm gonna recover 4 health from that, because it's 1 health per sun, and that will make the enemies attack me if they can. And to that end, I'm going to start moving finally. So one of the people who is right up close to me should be stunned, and I'm just gonna get sort of away from everybody else.
Nice. So yeah, you move, and what does it look like when you stun this person?
I think I'm still using my jets to get around a little bit. So I think it's just like he had a jet engine right next to his head a moment ago. It's just taking him a minute to
truly dazed from that that roaring sound and impact next to them. Excellent. Yeah, and you have attracted the attention of the people in the room with your over here power. Pluto, you are the last to go this round.
How many of these raiders are still
There's
alive?
just the two that are near you right now, and one of them is completely dazed. They're like they had been sandwiched into each other and were firing at your hollow spark, and now
Yeah.
one of them is like just holding their head in extraordinary pain from the impact from Donji's jetpack.
Yeah, then I'll just do the easy thing and mark them and use destroy and just shoot the missiles at them. I don't think I need to do much more exciting stuff now. Just
it's just cleanup duty now, right?
Yeah.
What does it look like as you explode these last two raiders in the room?
Well, yeah. It was already like sparks everywhere, so it's not gonna be better. So, like parts of their exosuit will fly around, creating even more fire and chaos everywhere.
It sort of creates like this chain reaction of explosions from the impact points. Now there's just like
And then when it dies down a bit, Pluto just says, "I don't think this is up to code, this building."
Nice. Now that those last two have been killed, let me just make some drops for you. There's 2 health drops that have been created for you all.
I mean, that's not helpful. We'll change
I could use 1 health.
Okay, go take 1 health. I'll change 1 to fuel. Kegan, how's Donji doing on fuel?
I have 3 out of 4.
Okay, I'll take it because I'm getting a little lower now.
Cool.
I think I have 3, but yeah.
Then there is still the person with the robes in the other room. They are lit on fire and sort of distracted, but the more pressing issue is the lunar shard machinery is acting up in a real bad way. And so let me just randomly determine which direction gravity is moving.
Ooh.
So right now, gravity suddenly is shifting you all towards the back of the warehouse. So you all just go flinging away from the control panel. You're all getting like hurled back towards the opposite side of the factory from it. And you're not going to take any damage, but right now you're sort of pressed up against the wall, and the figure in the robes sort of like lifts themselves up. You can see them kind of through your HUD system far down the end of the factory here. And they are making their way. They're trying to book it. They're trying to get the hell out of here in this moment.
No.
I could do something if nobody else has a plan.
I mean, I have a plan, but go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah.
I can mark him and swap with him. And then he's close to you and I'm far away. So
That works.
I mark him and then like get on all fours and shoot towards him. And then when I hit him, he will go through the air and be on my old spot.
So you run forward and you kind of like grab them and hurl them back to where you were before.
Seems like the most logical way to swap, right?
It makes the most sense to me. Nice. So you all see Pluto kind of rush across the room after having marked this person, and now this person in the sort of gray and white robes that are now kind of like sooty and ashy and burnt on the chest from when Ring Zero lit them on fire is very surprised to be surrounded by 3 sparks. So who would like to go next?
I'm on this. I have a plan. I'm going to remind them that they left this bat with their friends, and I'd like to give it back to them now.
Nice. So
In
you're
a gentle manner, probably.
Are you just
the same way they gave it to me, of course.
right? Let's have a sun roll as you jam the baton into this lunar priest.
That's a 6.
All right. Yeah. So you go stabbing into them. They are extremely fragile. So let me ask you a question. Are you intending to kill this person with the baton, or are you going for like incapacitation?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think
Because
I'll just incapacitate them.
Okay, because it's an electric baton that like you could just like knock them out, but if you truly wanted to.
No, I'll just knock them out.
Okay, so you give them a good jab with the baton. There's kind of like a momentary howl of pain, and then they drop. The lunar machine is still humming, Big 5, and Ring 0. So what do you want to do?
Well, I was gonna try to cut the power, but now also if I do what I was gonna do, it will hurt. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna use what do you call it? Kindle again. Does anybody need HP?
I'm at
I have
full.
3 out of 5.
Okay, I will give you back 1 HP, and I'm gonna hit the control panel again for 1
Nice.
damage.
Yeah, so that second damage is what it takes to kind of like knock out the system. You all hear like the pulsing kind of accelerates, and there's that like you feel your sparks kind of shifting like up, down, left, like all over the place as like gravity like in small bursts is pushing you around momentarily, and then it shuts down, and the glowing of the shards, they go back to sort of like a dull gray stone, and there's suddenly quiet in the factory as you have destroyed the system that was running everything. And we are now effectively out of combat now that you've dealt with the lunar machine. You've got a busted up lunar shard and some sort of apparatus that it's stealing its energy, and you've got an unconscious, strangely robed individual here.
Normal Saturday night.
It's a typical mission here. I think, as Sparks, you've accomplished your primary mission here, which is to clear out this location and take care of any threats in it. So the other part is sort of in the securing of the facility. So let's see some like moments as you all are going around. Like, what are things that you as Sparks know to do in order to keep a location secure for salvage teams from the city?
I'm going to patch up the hole I left in the wall. It's going to be my first go-to here.
Nice. So yeah, Warden is, putting rocks back into place as best you can undo like the jigsaw puzzle that is the smashed wall.
I have a small piece of roll missing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Pluto's got like those really sensitive like sensory system to like mark things, and so can figure out the exact little gaps that need to be filled with that.
Swap these around.
I'm gonna go check out the equipment, like the control panel, but also like really it's just a smoke break.
Yeah. So as you're checking it
like,
out,
I'm looking at it, but I'm not, like
the smoke coming from the console masks that you're just up there smoking, and so to everyone else it just looks like you're checking out that incinerated console. Yeah, as far as you can tell from your glance here, I mean, this console, whatever it was powering the system that had been hooked up. It's pretty much shot. It's destroyed. It would take an incredible amount of like time and energy to fix it, but you would know that some of the material, of course, is still usable. It's just the apparatus here at the factory just simply won't work anymore.
Right.
I'm going to step outside and do like a perimeter, like secure the perimeter as I walk around and make sure that we're not going to get more raiders sneaking in or sneaking up on us.
Yeah, as you're sort of moving around the perimeter, what you see here is you can tell that there were like small camps that had been using this sort of obliterated landscape that Pluto had marked out for you all earlier. But across all of those landscapes, there is something that is marked into all the walls. It's either painted or scratched, depending on the surface. There's a half moon, like it's a full circle, but it's dissected, and one half is all sort of shaded in, and then there are like lines of illumination going around the entire thing. You see this kind of marked around the entire perimeter of this place.
I'm gonna dispatch a tiny little drone from my back, get next to the symbol, and take like a selfie with it, and then send that to the crew with a hashtag #NewBigBad ?
I turned data off. It was getting too expensive.
Yeah, I can only imagine when you get back to the city, Donji, it's just like a flood of notifications.
Once I get
back,
Wi-Fi again.
yeah, once you get back to the Wi-Fi signal, it's just like so much that you have to catch up on. Excellent. So we see you all sort of like montaging around securing this facility, and eventually move a salvage team from the city moves in to take the equipment and bring it back to the city. Now, like Ring Zero said, this is going to help with the refinement process of like pulling out energy from the solar shards. And so I want sort of I think we're going to sort of wrap up here. This is a good place to wrap up for our sparks. As you're seeing the energy refinement process beginning to become improved in the city, you each have an opportunity to sort of like not necessarily dictate, but advocate for a particular use of that energy. So what is something that you would like to be seen done in the city now that it has access to a greater supply of energy? And it can either be stuff for yourselves, for anybody. What are you all hoping to see gained from this hard work that you put in?
Well, Pluto is, of course, in his downtime, a drummer in a punk rock band. So he uses this new energy to make sure that everybody gets access to his new record.
Yes, he does. Absolutely. All right. Well, the record press, yeah. So the long since abandoned sort of music production building of the city is lit back up. We see it kind of glowing again, and we hear a steady drum beat as Pluto provides the background music as we see what the other sparks are up to around the city.
Yeah, I really wish I had Ty's idea of having sunglasses ready. But let's just imagine sunglasses, rock and roll.
Excellent.
Nice.
What else are we seeing around the city?
We see like Pyre back at the Spark garage having to like detail like with a Q-tip all of the different filters and everything that are fully clogged with tar, and then like turning around, taking a break, going over to a bench, and then like rolling up a new pack of cigarettes, and then sticking them in the arm.
Nice. I think it's a long task, but I think it's made maybe slightly easier due to this excess energy that is in the city, where you can now, it slightly automates the process of the cleaning for you. So it's not.
I've got a roto Q-tip now instead of just like a normal one.
Just buzzing in there, cleaning it all up for you. I love it. Don G or Big Fire, what are we seeing from you all?
I think with this new energy, like it should be something important, something that's going to help the city a lot. So I am going to advocate for booting up a new social network that we can all keep in contact with. And
I thought you were helping the city.
my
City.
selfies and Pluto's record is going to come pre-downloaded on the network, so you cannot get.
I gotta go ahead and ask, what is the name of this network?
I think it's called Sun, but spelt in a tech bro way. I don't know any ways to spell Sun a different way, but it is. They found a way.
Somebody has found a way. They always do. Excellent. And Donji, what do you see, or what do we see from you?
I have the best thoughts of the city at heart. So my mom's opening a restaurant.
Okay, nice, awesome. What kind of restaurant is it?
It's Italian, obviously.
Oh, right, that's right. Your full name. Well, wonderful. So we see the city starting to improve from the hard work of the sparks. The last thing that we see again is that the purplish sky above that we started the episode with, and we hear a howling similar to the howling that we heard when Pluto's hollow spark had gone out. Though this is a kind of a deeper, much more bestial howl. And we see this sort of pack of wolves that are near some of these jagged rocks where we had seen the scene before. And they're howling up to a moon that we can now see kind of like pockmarked in the sky. It is a semicircular moon where the shards of sun light it up. And these wolves have kind of like jagged and like stuck into them small bits of lunar stone as they howl up into the moon. And yeah, I think Big Fire's premonition of a new big bad just might be coming true. And that's where we're going to wrap up our session of Nova.
Yay!
Yay!
Awesome. Does anybody need a break before we talk about the game? We usually take a game, play mid-thing. One of the things I love about Lumen games, though, is they play so quick. You can really sit down and play for like an hour and a half and get a really complete mission. And does anybody want to take a quick break, or is everybody ready to talk about the game?
I just got a message that my drink is behind this door, so I'm just gonna grab that.
Okay, go ahead and grab that then. We'll just keep on trucking then. Cool. So we do a little bit of thing. We do a thing here on Plus One EXP called Reaction Roll. Reaction Roll is a live stream within a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with a designer whose game we just played and talk about our experience playing that game. Today we are sitting down with Spencer Campbell to talk about their upcoming game Nova, which is a Lumen game. We'll talk about what that means in just 1 second, but it is inspired by the looter shooter genre. Let's meet Spencer. Spencer, tell people who you are, what you do, and give us the elevator pitch for Nova.
Hello, everyone. I'm Spencer Campbell. I design games under the name Gila RPGs. So I made Nova, which is one of my love letter games from the Lumen system to the looter shooter genre. This one in particular, the sun has exploded. Humanity has largely been wiped out. And as these shards of sunlight crash into the earth, we harness their energy to create these really badass exosuits that go out into the old earth and try and rebuild humanity. And Nova's primarily, because it's a Lumen game, a combat game, but it focuses sort of on fast narrative combat with cool powers rather than sort of the crunchier mechanical combat that you see in other games.
Awesome. And when is it coming to Kickstarter?
It hits Kickstarter on June 8th.
Awesome. You go to the link down below, all of our faces. If you're watching right now, I'm going to go ahead and drop it into the chat also, too. Go ahead and make sure you hit follow, or if you're watching this later, I mean, just go ahead and go back it if you want to, if you're interested in it. We're going to talk about our experience playing now also, too. So let's meet some of our players. Let's go in the reverse of how we went before. So we're going to start with longtime, good time friend Kegan Executable. Kegan, tell us who you are, what you do, and what it was like playing Nova.
Yeah, I'm Kegan. You can find me online at keganexe.com. I also design games and stuff. This was a lot of fun, though. I'm huge fan of the Lumen system. Huge fan of Nova.
Any other thoughts?
I had a lot of fun. That was basically my thought.
I'll take it.
That sounds good. Excellent. Do you have any questions that you want to ask Spencer?
Nothing I can think of offhand.
We should also mention Kegan also got their second shot for like yesterday for
yes.
So, Kegan, if you think of one in the meantime, feel free to toss it out. Let's go ahead and hear from our good friend Jimmy. Jimmy, tell people who you are, what you do, and what it was like playing at Nova.
So I'm Peter Eijk, Peter, Jimmy, but yeah. Here I'm Jimmy, it's easier. Jimmy Shelter on Twitter and on HIO, where for now I just have a few Game Jam entries. I might want to try to make a Lumen game myself now. I really have fun playing this, and yeah, quick system to pick up. The moves are, yeah, I like the combat is really cool. It's quick, but it's cinematic. It's I love it. So yeah, it's nice playing with you.
Awesome.
And
Do you have any
I do have a
questions?
question. So Spencer, so you put out this the Lumen SRD as well. Did you expect so many games to be released so quickly?
I did not. I was kind of astounded by the number of people who wanted to make things, and I'm astounded by the rate at which people are making things. Like Kegan has already put out a full game from the Lumen system.
It's
with
now
In
like
Extremis.
230 pages. Like it's
It's a
getting
little
bigger
over
and
100
bigger.
now.
Wow, that's amazing. I like making games that you can hack and that people can make things for, and so I've seen that in previous stuff, but this is a little different because it's making full-blown games, and so I'm just really, it blows my mind. It's very cool to see so many folks that are interested in making it. I think it's, for everybody who's got like a video game or like a power fantasy in their head, they see it as an opportunity to live that, and I'm happy to provide that power fantasy.
Awesome. And for people who may not be familiar with what we're talking about, tell people a little bit about, like, when we talk about the Lumen system or this being a Lumen game, what does that mean?
So the Lumen system is sort of an evolved version of a previous game I made called Light. It's a system that is designed to be rules light, typically combat focused, inspired by video games or genres where characters have like a small handful of powers and they feel incredibly powerful and badass while they are using them. So it's going to be your looter shooter games like your Destinies and Borderlands, your hero shooter games like your Overwatches, other action RPGs or dungeon crawlers like Diablo are all things that it's sort of meant to capture. And it truly is just 3 stats for rolling dice. And you saw in today's session that you don't really roll many dice. It's more about spending resources to do cool combat. And that's sort of the pitch of Lumen games.
Awesome. Cool. I'm super excited about it. I'm also very appreciative of SRDs becoming more normative, and the Lumen SRD did some really cool new things that previous ones out there, like the Wretched system and the Beak Feather Bone ones, didn't do. And I'll share a little bit of thoughts about that in a second, but I do think it's absolutely amazing. I want to encourage people, if you haven't checked it out, search Lumen SRD and then Gill RPGs will pop up. Let's hear from Ty. Ty, tell people who you are, what you do, and what your thoughts were about playing Nova.
Yeah, I'm Ty. I go by Eldritch Mouse on Twitter. I also make games. I am making a Lumen game as well. So, I have joined in fully. I fully committed. It is a great system. I think Nova is really fun because, we immediately saw is how much how cinematic it is, but also sort of how we all work together to do cool setups and then execute on them, and it's just really fun to play and really quick too. We got a full story in 90 minutes, which is not something you can really see happening too much with role-playing games.
Yeah,
that's a big priority for me, just because I don't have the ability or the time necessarily to get those 4-hour 5-hour sessions that I used to back in grad school when I was playing. So for me, if I can get those same experiences in 90 minutes, then that's the good stuff.
Yeah. One question I had was, do you know how many sparks are going to be in the final book?
So the final book will have 6 sparks as sort of at the base level, and then I have a couple brewing in my head for stretch goals if the campaign does especially well, but there will be 6. So we've seen 4 of them here in the quick start. There's 2 others that are sort of in very early development, so they haven't been shown off yet.
I want to know about the one that's got the Doc Ock arms coming out of it. Is that one going to make it in?
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I have in my mind.
So, does anybody else have any other questions? Also, if you're watching at home, do you have any questions? Otherwise, I'll share my thoughts. Ty, Jimmy, Kegan, anything that you want to ask about Nova, about the Lumen system, anything along that lines? And again, Chad, if you have a question, type it in. Happy to ask for you.
Yeah, actually a cool way I think this breaks off from the Lumen systems, the Supernova system, which isn't a thing we experienced in this game, but you want to talk about it some?
Yeah, so one thing in Lumen games, at least the way that I think about them, is that character death, final death especially, is pretty much off the table. It's not a hard and fast rule. In fact, I've already talked to people who have it in their games, but for me, there's usually some sort of death penalty in a Lumen game, and then you're right back into the fight. And so in Nova in particular, your spark goes supernova. You do this really powerful move. It just sort of activates immediately, and then one of your fellow sparks needs to come and sort of essentially revive you in the fight. But it allows you to have that like blaze of glory moment just before you are kind of decommissioned for at least a little bit of time. It won't be for the whole fight, but just for a little bit.
Any other questions that people have?
I guess.
Go ahead.
So we started out like pretty strong. I think the quick start has you starting with like a lot of power, which is awesome. Do you want to explain, I guess, the system you use to sort of like customize your spark?
Yeah, so the thing that we don't see in the quick start is what I'm calling the flare system, which is a modular system that it's how advancement works in this game. So the way I think about advancement in this game is you're already max level, like you said, you're already feeling very powerful. So instead it's working towards builds. So, you're at the end game of an MMO, you want to play your particular class a particular way. You get these cool mods that then get slotted into your powers or into your spark that allow you to really lean into certain things. They allow your powers to interact in new and different ways. And so that's the advancement system that we don't see present in the quick start, but it's the thing that I'm excited to tinker with so that people will feel even more powerful. And then it allows the GM to make even bigger, scarier monsters so that they can go use their new powers on them.
I love it. Yeah, this is the fourth Lumen game that I have played. I mean, I guess some of them technically weren't Lumen games when I played them. This is the fourth game that is part of your set of games or other people's that are inspired by the Lumen system. And I have just been blown away by some of the different small pieces of feeling that come into every one, like Kegan's game, which we played on stream a little while ago. You only get drops from creatures with souls because that's part of the narrative, and that was a cool thing, and it made recharging a little bit more scarce in that reality, right? This one, even compared to another one that we had played on stream at one point in time, you can go find and watch if you want to. It felt like we were even getting more drops on this one than on that one. Like it felt a little bit more juiced up, and I love that ability to kind of flex that piece out compared to like Light and some of the other games that you've worked on in the past. How did you feel like this one scaled as far as power went? Do you feel like this is kind of you mentioned like being at the end of the MMO, but compared to your other games, where would you kind of say this falls into that?
This is definitely on the more powerful end of things. In Light, which is technically the first Lumen game, it wasn't written with all of the Lumen rules out there. And so regaining resources and things like that in Light doesn't happen as often. Instead, combat is typically used through your weapons. But in this game, I decided there are no weapons. You aren't running around with guns and things like that. It's purely your sparks. And so the powers needed to feel cool and engaging. And you also needed to get access to the resource, the fuel, in order to use them. And so this is definitely a Lumen game that I've leaned real heavily into the power side. In fact, I've skewed the drop system so that it is more heavily likely for you to get fuel than health, because you're more likely to need that fuel than you are to need health. I definitely borrow from the concepts of a lot of looter shooters where you roll up on enemies, wipe out most of them, and then the few that are remaining will try and damage you. But it's primarily you're going in there, blasting off all your abilities, and then refueling off of that stuff. So that's definitely on the more powerful side of the spectrum.
Yeah, that was the weapons was my other question, because this one doesn't have them, but the powers are so great. Every time I've sat down, and I'm working on a Lumen game also too, I'm very excited about it. My dumb thing is that I'm like, I love the like social power side of things and the mechanical side of things, and I really suck at like, hey, just write down a cool thematic name for this power and then describe what it looks like, and that's all you have to do. Like I'm too much of a dummy to just write the thing of the way it should be written, and so that's been the slowest part for me on any of them. But had an absolute blast playing Nova today. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait for the Kickstarter to come out also too. And I think my other another question. I love something you said, and I mentioned it in the chat. I love the idea of, if anybody out there is designing Lumen games, or even Spencer for you, writing down when you're making bad guys, here are the 3 or 4 dumb things these bad guys say on repeat, is a really fun thematic thing to just drop in, like as little quote boxes in your things. But it's a super fun system to play with. If people haven't checked out Lumen yet, please do. Nova's, again, another phenomenal example. And you do, I think you do a tremendous job of world building. The other thing I noticed about this one, and I wonder if it's design or if it's just having run more and more of these games and doing different things as a GM, you asked us a lot more questions in this one than anybody else in any of the other Lumen games that I've played. Is that something that is an intent within Nova, that you want to be building the missions collaboratively, or is that just how you were running today?
That's something that I've sort of discovered relatively recently. That's something that I want to be part of the Nova structure, is that in it are tools for generating missions and things like that, but a lot of those tools are using the input of the player so that they have buy-in as to why they're going on these missions, instead of some sort of nameless force just sending you out to go do work. You all have input, and then at the same time, then it allows me to start thinking about what is going on. I only had a very vague sense of what was going on in this mission, but you all sort of helped me flavor it through the answers to those questions at the beginning. And then in terms of asking you for input at other points in terms of flavoring your actions, I think, again, because a Lumen game, or at least Nova games, are sort of trying to hit that hour, 90-minute, maybe 2-hour mark, in that short amount of time, I want you all to feel like you are telling half the story with me, and so by allowing you to flavor all of the stuff, I think it just makes it a much more engaging thing, rather than you all listen to me tell you an abbreviated, accelerated story.
Yeah, no. I had an absolute blast. Like I said, it was one of the small things that I had noticed as we were going through. It seems very cool, and I love the lore that you've made for your games in the past. I love the idea of this being a little bit more lore open. Like, there are some pieces that are down, but you and your players are going to build this world together. I think especially in a combat-heavy game, it's something that'll be really attractive to people who are like, well, I want to role play and I want to build out the world. Like, that's still here. Like, we're just doing it in this very specific fashion. I think that's a really interesting take on it also, too. So great job designing yet another phenomenal game in the system that you created that other people love creating games in. If you want to help support this project, you go check out the Kickstarter. Again, that link's right below all of our faces. It's dropping on June 8th. If you want to support our channel, you can become a content champion. You can head to coffee.com/+1exp. We don't think creators should have to pay to have content created. Sometimes we have publishers who want to support us financially. That's great, but mostly we want to just help small indie creators be able to find players who love their games and help you as players find amazing games that you can help support. We've got some other giveaways and stuff that are starting to go up on that, as well as our content will be dropping on that free for people who support us, because Coffee is about to also release ongoing monthly tiers instead of just recurring subscriptions, which is great. So you'll be able to see more of that coming soon, but if you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it. We are going to be playing, I do know, on June 10th, June 11th, we are going to be playing Gunfucks by Adira Slattery. This is, we booked it last night after we played Ark, and so this is the first people are finding out. We'll have some amazing players back to play that. It's a Borderlands-inspired Lumen system game, so come on back, check that out. I really want to get Angel Spawn and a couple other ones on also, too. So we'll be showcasing a lot of Lumen system games over the summer as the Lux Collective, which is a group of people who are working together to make games, start doing that. So please keep an eye on that. If you haven't hit follow or subscribe, please do. And we don't have a good way to close out our stream, so I just have everybody wave at the camera until I take us offline. So we'll see y'all next time. We're not off yet. Very important question. How will we handle the Gunfucks 1 F word per stream? Yeah, we just will ignore it. Just behind the scenes for anybody out there listening still right now who didn't already log off. It's a rule because it's a fun rule to try to do, and it helps keep content really shareable for creators. It's not a rule because we have any mores about swearing in particular. And so sometimes somebody will drop a pencil 3 minutes into the stream and be like, fuck, and that's it. Like, and that's fun. But those players tend to just swear the entire way through, and that's great and that's wonderful. On Gunfucks, it's going to be NC-17, baby. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be amazing. Just come on back for that June 11th.